Hello everyone, this is CircuitPython weekly meeting for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. It's time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. I'm Liz, I'm sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. CircuitPython development is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from adafruit.com. This meeting is hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to adafruit.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel and the CircuitPython voice channel. This meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. US Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, except when it coincides with a US holiday. In the notes doc, there's a link to a calendar you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send notifications about upcoming meetings via Discord. If you would like to receive these notifications, ask us to add you to the CircuitPythonistas Discord role. There's a shared notes document that accompanies the meeting and recording. You can contribute to this document beforehand. Final notes document includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use the doc to skip around and view parts of the video that interest you most. Meeting tends to run 30-60 minutes. After each meeting, we post a link for the next meeting's notes document in the CircuitPython dev channel on the Adafruit Discord. Check pinned messages, find the latest notes doc, so you can add your notes for the following meeting. If you wish to participate but cannot attend, you can leave hug reports and status updates in the document for us to read during the meeting. And the meeting is held in 5 parts. First part is community news. Second part is state of CircuitPython libraries and Blinka. Third part is hug reports. Fourth part, status updates. And fifth part, in the weeds. And with that, we will go into community news. So, project of the week, upcycling a 1992 brick phone. Alan Boris took a 1992 Motorola 1G brick-style cell phone, removed the insides, and rebuilt it from scratch using modern parts. Centered around a Pi Pico 2 microcontroller programmed in CircuitPython. And there's resources on YouTube, GitHub, and it was featured in the Adafruit blog. Next was the Adafruit Playground note that I thought looked interesting, the Blue Sound Node Companion. Definitely check that out, code up in CircuitPython. And then another project, Infrared Things. Turn the Circuit Playground Express into an infrared remote control for a Sony Nex camera. I used to use those in my previous life as AV tech. Includes an example of making stop motion animations showing why the Adafruit IR remote library needed a minor enhancement for the Sony infrared remote code Circ protocol and an attempt at seeing the infrared beam spread, and that is an instructable. These news items and more are available in our weekly Python for Microcontrollers newsletter, which goes out via email on Monday mornings. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter. Thanks to Anne for putting the newsletter together. If you have any Python on hardware projects to share or find content you'd like to see included, please consider contributing to the newsletter. Email cpnews@adafruit.com with a link to content. And that is community news. Next up is the state of CircuitPython, libraries, and Blinka. So this is a quantitative overview of the entire project. Gives us a chance to look at the health of the project separate from our status updates. We'll talk about the project overall, then separately discuss the core, libraries, and Blinka. But first up, overall, there were 23 pull requests merged by 11 authors. And I'm just going to read all the authors. So Foamy Guy, Relic SC, I had a pull request. Stone Hippo, YWang83, Tektric, Maker Melissa, John Nelson, Pink Avaj, Jimmy Doe, and Tyeth. There were 5 reviewers, Foamy Guy. I also did a review, Maker Melissa, Tektric, and Tan Newt, and 11 closed issues by 5 people, and 5 new issues opened by 4 people. And now we'll hear from Scott about the core.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, for the core, we had 3 pull requests merged from 3 different authors, Foamy Guy, Tyeth, and YWang83. I did those 3 reviews, so thanks to those folks. We had 23 open pull requests. Many of them are quite old. I'd love to get through this backlog, but we are under our 1-page goal, so that's good. That's 25. Issues-wise, we had 1 closed issue by 1 person and 1 open by 1 person, for a total of 849 open issues. So hovering around the same amount, which is good. We use milestones to keep track of prioritization for Adafruit-funded folks. The kind of most relevant ones currently are 10.1x has 3 open issues, These are like the current stable release. We have one open issue on 10.2. That's going to be the next kind of feature release. So not too many. And then we have 0 issues not assigned a milestone. So we are keeping up with triage. And that's it for the core.
Awesome, thank you. And now we'll hear from Foamy Guy about the libraries.
All right, thanks, Liz. This section covers all the CircuitPython libraries, which are hosted on GitHub under 2 different bundle repos. We have the Adafruit library bundle, which has 389 libraries in it right now. We have the community library bundle with libraries created by third parties and members of the community. That one has 174 libraries in it, for a total right now of 563 different libraries that support various things on CircuitPython. Over the past week in the Adafruit bundle, looks like it was a relatively busy week. We had 18 pull requests merged by 8 different authors. Thanks to Liz for reading the names of all the authors, including a couple of folks who were newer, less frequent contributors. So thanks to them, as well as our returning folks who pop up more frequently. We had 5 reviewers for those PRs. Thanks again. Same list that was read before, or part of the same list, I should say. Of the pull requests that were merged, we did have one that was getting up there. It was 257 days. That was the oldest one. We had a couple that were around a month. And then, like usual, we had a handful that were down at 1 day, just brand new ones that got put in real fast. In terms of pull requests now, after the week, we have 36 pull requests that remain open. The oldest one of those is a draft that is at 1,313 days, and the newest one is 1 day. Issues-wise, over the past week, we had 9 issues closed by 4 people, 2 new issues opened up by 1 person, so we're net down a little bit there, and that leaves us with 771 open issues across all of the Adafruit bundle libraries, and there are 2 of them right now that are labeled as good first issues. You can find those, as well as all the rest, over at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is a website where you should head if you want to get involved in CircuitPython. This is the place where we tend to point folks who first want to get involved but don't necessarily have a specific thing they want to work on. So when you first load that page, again, it's circuitpython.org/contributing. You'll see a list of open pull requests, and those are waiting for someone to review them, to take a look at the code, to test it out on hardware if you have the hardware available. So you can do all of that just by reading through the list, find something that is interesting to you, click through to GitHub, and then it's just a very basic sort of comment form interface. So you can, if you have a GitHub account, you log in, you leave a comment on there, let us know what you see when you look over the code. Let us know if you think there's anything that should change or if it looks good to you. If you do have the hardware, you can go ahead and try it out and leave, in your comment there, you can let us know, what you found when you tried it. Was it working? What did you have issues? What kind of device did you use? What version of CircuitPython was it on? All of that good stuff. Once you get comfortable with that process, if you would like to get leveled up to leave official reviews on GitHub, which is essentially the same thing, we can work with you to add you to our review team, so you can do that. Or if you would like to start contributing some of your own code, you can also do that from the same page. Along the top of that contributing page, there are some navigation links. If you click over to the issues side of things, you'll see another list of links that go over to GitHub, but these ones represent issues. There's no pull request, there's no proposed change yet, so there's nothing to review. These are waiting for a person to actually make some change to implement a new feature, add an enhancement, maybe add a new example or something like that. So you can look through that list, again, kind of try to find something that's interesting to you or that you've got the hardware for. You can click through to GitHub and this time read up on what the issue is, what it's trying to aim, if it's a new feature or what have you, and you can submit your own pull request to resolve that issue. If you need help with GitHub or version control, we do have a Learn guide for that, contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub. We also have folks who are here on the Discord and Help with CircuitPython channel who are more than happy to help get you spun up. So if you are trying to contribute either reviews or contribute your own pull requests, if you're having trouble with actions or version control or any part of the process, just come say hi on Discord. Let us know what kind of issue you're running into, and we would love to help you out. We do want everyone to be able to contribute in whatever way works best for them. And then new and updated libraries, we do have TCS 3430 was a new one this past week. And then over in Community Bundle, there was an update to the Func Tools library. And I think we've got some new ones for that next week as well. So I'll read those out during the next meeting. But that is what we've got for libraries. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim. And now I will read about Blinka. Blinka is our compatibility layer for CircuitPython on single board computers like Raspberry Pi. And there were 2 pull requests merged by 2 authors and 1 reviewer. There are currently 19 open pull requests. There was 1 issue closed by 1 person and 2 new issues opened by 2 people. There are currently 147 open issues, and there are 166 supported boards. And that is State of CircuitPython libraries in Blinka. Next up is Hug Reports. So Hug Reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start and then we'll go down the list of Hug Reports alphabetically. If you are text only or are missing the meeting, I'll read your notes when I get to them in the list. So I will kick things off with Hug Report to Foamy Guy for helping split up the work on the new products in the shop, and a lot of driver writing between the 2 of us, and also a group hug. And now we'll hear from Foamy Guy.
All right. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, it's been my pleasure to work on them. I have got Hug Reports this week thanks to Jose David, J Posada 2020 on Discord for the Microplot library. This is an older library. I had sort of peripheral awareness of it. I looked into it a little bit and played with it a while back, but dove into it again this weekend looking at bar charts with one of these new driver libraries, in fact, to bring it home to that. So thanks to Jose David for this and lots of other libraries as well that Jose has made. But this is the one that came up for me recently and got me thinking of them. I also have Hug Report thanks to Tektrick for many infrastructure fixes and improvements, updating versions, all kinds of stuff across lots of different repos, as well as another one for Tektrick. Thanks for reviewing my PR and the Bluefruit Connect repo with the image receiver. Appreciate that and all the rest of the work you're doing. And that's what I've got. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And now we'll hear from Scott.
Hello. So for me, a hug to Noah for helping me with the Ploopy trackball hacking. I've explained it before, but I have a sensor on my trackball that can tell the keyboard when my hand is on the trackball so that I can do mouse clicks with my right hand on the keyboard. And I want to kind of formalize that and make that actually a thing. So Noah's helping with that, so I appreciate it. Thanks to Shilga, who made this Croco cart, which is a RP2040 and RP2350 version of a Game Boy cartridge. They were answering questions I had about why they designed it the way they did. It's something we want to get back to and update my SAMD51 based cart that I did like 5 years ago to the RP2350 so that we can do some Game Boy hacking via CircuitPython. And then last up, thanks again to Foamy Guy, who's filling in for me on Deep Dive on Friday.
Great, thank you. And now I'll read for Tektrick. I don't see him in the chat here. So Hug Report to Foamy Guy and Tanute for taking a look at my PRs for updating the CIs across the org. Tanute and JW Cooper for weighing in on my library import size CI action, and a group hug. And that will do it for Hug Reports. Next up is status updates. So status updates is our time to tell folks what we're up to individually. I will start and we'll go through the list of updates alphabetically. When I call on you, take a couple minutes to talk about what you've been working on since the last meeting and what you'll be doing until the next meeting. If the discussion becomes too long for status updates, we can move it to In the Weeds. So last week I finished documenting running CircuitPython on an XT Inc. X4 e-reader. The e-reader uses an ESP32C3 and has serial JTAG exposed via USB-C port, so it's a fun device to hack, no teardown or soldering required. The guy is live now for folks that are interested. And I'm also working through documenting the new sensors in the shop. I'm working with the TMAG 5273 magnetometer and the ADS 122C04 ADC breakouts. And now we'll hear from Foamy Guy.
Right. Last week, I finished up and published the TCS 3430 guide, light sensor, that one is. So CircuitPython driver and the guide for that are now out. The next one I'm working on is VCNL 4030, also a proximity and light sensor, this one is. So I've started the driver and the guide on that, and we'll hope to wrap it up this week. And then while I have been working on these drivers, sort of a meta task that I'm taking on is broadly speaking, kind of like skills and tools for agents to help port and test these drivers as we create them. And one of them in particular is this driver validation agent skill, which is writing tests that run both on Arduino and CircuitPython, and they interface with the same exact breakout, and they send they sort of exercise the exact same, analogous parts of the API, and then they compare the low-level I2C traffic to ensure that the Arduino instance and the CircuitPython instance are sort of transmitting and receiving the exact same bytes on the I2C bus. So we can write these tests and test the whole API, all the different configuration registers and everything, and validate that the Arduino driver and the CircuitPython driver are behaving the exact same across the whole API, which is a fascinating sort of hardware in the loop test setup to be able to have this thing connected to both devices and run stuff on both of them, and then sort of evaluate the results. So I've been doing that in the background as well while I work on these drivers, and that's what I'm up to. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Now we'll hear from Scott.
Okay, so for me, it's a short week. I'm out Wednesday to Friday, so I only have today and tomorrow. I'll be back next Monday. I have in-laws in town, so that's part of the reason. I have a pull request out for Zephyr Display I/O support, so hopefully Dan will look at that while I'm out. Number one priority for me is testing the BLE GAT support that I've been working on. I want to get that ready for review today and tomorrow so that Dan can look at it while I'm out. I am making progress on UF2 support for Zephyr-based bootloaders using MCU boot. I want to bring it to all existing Zephyr boards, so definitely going to do that. In that branch, I have support for the NRF54 LM20. USB is working. There are a few bugs, and it looks like there's some work to fix those bugs upstream, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. BLE also isn't in upstream yet, so it doesn't really matter. We can wait. We don't have any boards yet, but we'll definitely follow along. There is incentive to keep up with what Zephyr is doing, so we should just gain more features with these existing chipsets as they get implemented, which is exciting. And then lastly, the ESP Espresso folks released IDF6, which is a big major version. So we were on 5.5.3, and IDF6 came out, and I was like, you know what? That work is tedious. I bet Claude would do a really good job. So I said, hey, Claude, read the migration guide and then get everything building and fix it all. And so it's done that. I have not reviewed it. I have not tested it on hardware, but it seemed to have found a bunch of different things. I just pushed it so GitHub Actions should build everything, and I'm curious how that does, and I'll just feed that back to Claude. And then I'll look at it and get it testing on devices after that. So lots going on. Like I anticipated, changing the way I work, which is exciting. And yeah, be out most of this week, but back next Monday.
Very good. Thank you. And now I'll read for Tektrick. He submitted a draft PR showcasing my prototype for the library import size CI workflow that tests the import size of libraries on a microcontroller when they get PR'd. Lots of underlying and dependent workflows running Zephyr Native Sim were made for this, and he generalized them if folks are interested in looking at those to see what else could be built. He is looking for feedback, so please take a look if you are interested. He also updated CI workflows across Adafruit repositories to use Node.js 24 and use dependencies that do to get ahead of the deprecation of Node.js 20 that will happen in June. He finalized and added his take on a light Pydantic style data classes library for CircuitPython to the community bundle. It also contains tests designed to be run on the microcontroller, which is done via the CI running Zephyr Native Sim, if folks are interested in what such testing might look like for libraries. And then minor fixes to bundles, Adabot, and others. And if you're interested in anything that Tetrick had in his notes, there are a lot of links. Take a look at. But that's going to wrap it up for status updates, and I believe the meeting, because there are no in the weeds topics today. So I will move to end things. This has been CircuitPython Weekly for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Thank you to everyone who participated. If you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing from the Adafruit shop at adafruit.com. Video of this meeting will be released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit, and the podcast will be available on major podcast services. It'll also be featured in the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe. The next meeting will be held next Monday, as usual, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. This meeting is held on the Adafruit Discord, which you can join by going to adafruit.it/discord. To be notified about the meeting and any changes to the time or day, you can ask to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord. We hope to see you all next week. Thank you, everyone.